What if the most talked about moment in Paris this week happened far away from the cameras of a fashion runway, hidden behind the elegant doors of one of the city's most exclusive restaurants? What if two of BTS's biggest stars, Jungkook and Taehyung, were suddenly seen together during a quiet evening in the French capital, only for a handful of camera flashes to turn an ordinary dinner into a moment fans could not stop talking about? And perhaps the biggest question of all is this: why did their appearance together attract so much attention? It was supposed to be an ordinary Paris evening. The streets were glowing beneath the soft, golden lights that reflected against the historic buildings. Luxury cars moved slowly through the city, tourists gathered around famous landmarks, and the unmistakable atmosphere of Paris seemed to transform every ordinary moment into something extraordinary. But inside an elegant restaurant hidden away from the busiest streets, the atmosphere was completely different. The restaurant was quiet, sophisticated, and carefully designed to protect the privacy of its guests. Soft lighting illuminated polished tables, expensive decorations surrounded the dining room, and the sound of quiet conversations blended with the gentle movement of servers passing between tables. It was the kind of place where international celebrities could disappear for an evening without attracting too much attention. At least, that was the idea. Then, according to the fictionalized scenario explored in this entertainment narrative, two familiar figures were noticed. One was Jungkook. The other was Kim Taehyung. For fans who have followed BTS for years, the combination of those two names is enough to create immediate curiosity. Jungkook and Taehyung have shared countless stages, rehearsals, interviews, backstage moments, and memories throughout their years as members of BTS. Their friendship and chemistry have repeatedly attracted attention from fans around the world, and whenever the two are seen together away from a scheduled official event, the reaction can become enormous. That evening in Paris was no exception. The first sign that something unusual was happening came not from a major news outlet, but from the whispers surrounding the restaurant. A few people reportedly noticed unusual activity near the entrance. A dark vehicle arrived quietly. Several people appeared to be paying more attention to the doorway than they normally would. Then, for a brief moment, two familiar silhouettes became visible. The first reaction was disbelief. Could it really be them? Could Jungkook and Taehyung actually be inside? Or was it simply another case of mistaken identity? In a city filled with fashion models, actors, musicians, influencers, and international celebrities, seeing someone who resembles a BTS member is not impossible. Paris is one of the world's biggest entertainment and fashion capitals, and celebrities frequently move through the city during major fashion and cultural events. But then came the moment that changed the atmosphere. A camera was raised. A flash appeared. And suddenly, what had been a quiet evening seemed to become a moment of global curiosity. The fictionalized scene imagined by fans begins with Jungkook entering the restaurant in a relaxed but stylish appearance. He was not dressed as though he were preparing for a major stage performance. Instead, the mood was much more casual, suggesting someone who wanted to enjoy an evening away from the pressure of the spotlight. Moments later, Taehyung appeared. His presence immediately changed the energy around the entrance. Taehyung has long been known for his distinctive fashion sense, and even when dressed casually, his appearance can attract attention. In Paris, where fashion is practically part of the city's identity, his presence seemed almost perfectly suited to the environment. But the biggest surprise was not that either man was in Paris. It was that they appeared to be there together. For years, fans have become accustomed to seeing BTS members in carefully organized environments. Airports, concerts, fashion events, official schedules, interviews, promotional appearances, and public broadcasts usually provide context for their appearances. A private dinner is different. A private dinner feels personal. It creates questions. Why were they there? Who invited them? Were they meeting someone? Were they discussing work? Were they simply enjoying food together? Or was there another reason that had not yet been revealed? Those questions quickly became the emotional center of the fictionalized story. Imagine being seated at a nearby table. At first, you notice nothing unusual. You continue eating while the restaurant's soft music plays in the background. Then you notice several people looking toward one side of the room. You glance over. 2 men are sitting together. One looks familiar. Very familiar. You look again. Your heart starts beating faster. You realize that the person sitting there may be Jungkook. Then you notice the person across from him. Taehyung. For an army, that realization would be overwhelming. But the imagined scene becomes even more dramatic when Jungkook and Taehyung reportedly appear completely relaxed. There is no stage. No choreography. No microphones. No giant screens. No carefully prepared speech. Just 2 friends sitting together over dinner in Paris. That simplicity is precisely what makes the moment emotionally powerful. Celebrity life is often presented through spectacular images. Red carpets, luxury fashion, concerts filled with thousands of people, flashing cameras, expensive cars, and enormous stages create the impression that celebrities live in a world that is completely separate from ordinary life. But a restaurant changes that image. Dinner is ordinary. Conversation is ordinary. Laughing with a friend is ordinary. And perhaps that is why fans become so fascinated when they see global stars in ordinary situations. The imagined paparazzi moment does not necessarily reveal a secret relationship, a hidden project, or a dramatic controversy. Sometimes the mystery exists simply because people want to understand what happens when famous people step outside their professional identities. Inside the restaurant, Jungkook and Taehyung could have been discussing almost anything. Music, food, travel, fashion, friends, memories, their upcoming schedules, or perhaps something completely unrelated to BTS. That uncertainty is what makes the story compelling. The camera, however, does not know the conversation. It only captures fragments. A smile. A glance. A hand resting on the table. A moment when Jungkook appears to laugh. A moment when Taehyung looks toward the entrance. A moment when both seem to realize that someone outside may have recognized them. Those small gestures can become enormous stories once they reach the internet. One photograph can create thousands of interpretations. One video can produce millions of views. One innocent smile can become a headline. One dinner can become a global discussion. That is the strange reality of celebrity culture. The more famous someone becomes, the less ordinary their ordinary moments become. For Jungkook and Taehyung, the situation is even more intense because of the enormous international community surrounding BTS. ARMY exists across continents, languages, cultures, and time zones. A photograph taken in Paris can reach Seoul within minutes. A short clip can appear in Los Angeles shortly afterward. Fans in Indonesia, Japan, the United States, Brazil, the Philippines, France, and countless other countries can all be discussing the same moment almost simultaneously. The internet removes distance. Paris may be thousands of kilometers away from many BTS fans, but online, the distance disappears. That is why the fictionalized paparazzi moment becomes larger than the restaurant itself. It becomes a global conversation. The first reactions would probably be simple. They are together. They look happy. They are in Paris. Did anyone expect this? But then the questions would become more complicated. Why this restaurant? Why this evening? Why were they together? Were they attending another event afterward? Was this planned? Was it spontaneous? Had they been in Paris at the same time for different reasons? Could the dinner simply have been a private break from their busy schedules? The truth is that without direct confirmation, none of these questions can be answered with certainty. And that uncertainty is important. In the fictionalized narrative, the photographs do not reveal everything. They only provide clues. Perhaps Jungkook's relaxed expression suggests that he was enjoying the evening. Perhaps Taehyung's smile suggests that the atmosphere was comfortable. Perhaps the fact that they were together indicates nothing more than friendship. Yet fans naturally search for meaning in every detail. This is where the emotional side of the story begins. BTS has spent years building a relationship with their audience that extends beyond music. Fans have watched the members grow, change, travel, perform, struggle, celebrate, and mature. Because of that history, a simple dinner can feel meaningful. It reminds fans that behind the enormous BTS brand are human beings who still need ordinary moments. They need food. They need rest. They need friendship. They need laughter. They need private conversations. They need evenings when they are not performing. And perhaps that is the most touching interpretation of the imagined Paris encounter. Not that something dramatic happened, but that nothing dramatic needed to happen. Two friends could simply sit together. The city outside could continue moving, and for a few hours, they could simply enjoy Paris. Yet outside the restaurant, the story would already be changing. Someone might post a blurry photograph. Another person might claim they had seen the two men earlier. A third person might upload a short video. Then social media algorithms would begin doing what they do best. They would amplify the moment. The photograph would travel. Fans would zoom in. People would compare clothing. Others would analyze the location. Some would search for the restaurant. Others would speculate about their schedules. Some would simply celebrate seeing two BTS members enjoying time together. And inevitably, some would turn speculation into certainty. That is where viewers need to slow down. A photograph can show that two people appear to be together. It cannot automatically explain why they are together. A smile does not prove a secret. A private dinner does not automatically indicate a hidden announcement. A location does not necessarily reveal a future project. And a camera capturing a moment does not mean the public knows the full story. The fictionalized narrative works because it leaves room for mystery without pretending that speculation is fact. That distinction matters. The entertainment world thrives on curiosity, but curiosity should not become certainty without evidence. Still, the imagined evening remains fascinating. Picture the scene once again. Paris at night. The restaurant doors opening. A few people waiting outside. A black vehicle moving slowly away from the curb. Jungkook stepping outside. Taehyung following shortly afterward. For one brief second, the two stand beneath the lights. A camera captures them. The flash reflects against the night. Jungkook looks toward the vehicle. Taehyung adjusts his clothing. They exchange what appears to be a quick smile. Then they disappear into the car. The entire moment lasts only seconds. But online, those seconds could become hours of discussion. This is the paradox of modern celebrity. The moment itself is short. The reaction is enormous. The story continues long after the people involved have gone home. And perhaps the most intriguing part is what happens next. Imagine that the following morning, fans wake up to photographs from Paris. There is no official announcement. No elaborate statement. No explanation. Only a handful of images. Jungkook. Taehyung. A luxury restaurant. Paris. That is enough. Suddenly, fans begin asking the same question. What were they really doing there? The simplest answer may be the correct one. They were having dinner. But human curiosity rarely accepts simple answers when famous people are involved. The possibility of something bigger becomes irresistible. Maybe they were discussing music. Maybe they were meeting friends. Maybe they had just finished a fashion-related schedule. Maybe they wanted to enjoy Paris together. Maybe they simply wanted to escape their busy routines for one evening. Or maybe the real story is so ordinary that there is no secret at all. That possibility is strangely beautiful. Because sometimes the biggest surprise is that there is no scandal, no controversy, no dramatic revelation. Just friendship. Just food. Just Paris. And two people who happen to be among the most recognizable entertainers on the planet. The fictionalized paparazzi encounter also raises a larger question about privacy. How much of a celebrity's private life belongs to the public? When fans support an artist for years, it is natural for them to feel emotionally connected. But emotional connection does not automatically mean unlimited access. A restaurant dinner is different from a concert. A private meal is different from a scheduled appearance. A personal conversation is different from an interview. The boundaries can become difficult to maintain when photographers and fans are constantly searching for glimpses of famous people outside official schedules. For Jungkook and Taehyung, those boundaries may be particularly difficult because their global popularity means that even a quiet walk can become international news. This is why the emotional reaction from fans can contain two feelings at once: excitement and concern. Excitement because seeing beloved artists together can be heartwarming. Concern because those same artists deserve moments where they are not being watched. The imagined Paris evening therefore becomes more than a celebrity sighting. It becomes a conversation about the human side of fame. What does it mean to live under constant observation? What does it feel like to walk into a restaurant and wonder whether someone will recognize you? What does it feel like to sit down for dinner and know that a photograph could appear online before you even finish your meal? These are questions that audiences rarely see answered directly. They see the finished photographs. They see the glamorous outfits. They see the headlines. They see the millions of reactions. But they do not see the emotional cost behind the image. Perhaps that is why the imagined scene feels so cinematic. It contains everything people associate with Paris: luxury, mystery, fashion, night lights, famous names, a hidden restaurant, a sudden camera flash, and two friends at the center of it all. The atmosphere becomes even more dramatic when we imagine that Jungkook and Taehyung had no idea they would become the subject of a viral moment that night. They may have entered the restaurant thinking only about dinner. They may have talked about completely ordinary things. Perhaps Jungkook laughed at something Taehyung said. Perhaps Taehyung showed him something on his phone. Perhaps they discussed a song. Perhaps they talked about an upcoming trip. Perhaps they simply sat quietly. Nobody outside knows. And that is precisely the point. The camera captures the outside. It does not capture the entire story. The mystery remains. As the evening continues, the restaurant becomes increasingly quiet. Most guests remain focused on their own meals. The city outside continues moving. Cars pass. Pedestrians walk beneath streetlights. Paris remains Paris. Inside, Jungkook and Taehyung finish their dinner. Eventually, they prepare to leave. The first movement toward the exit creates another moment of tension. Someone notices them. Another person reaches for a phone. A camera is raised. A few flashes appear. Jungkook briefly lowers his head. Taehyung remains composed. The security team moves carefully. The door opens. Cold Parisian air enters the room. For a moment, everything seems to slow down. Then they step outside. The imagined crowd reacts. Some people whisper. Some smile. Some try to take photographs. Others simply watch. The two men walk toward the waiting vehicle. There is no dramatic announcement. No speech. No explanation. They get inside. The door closes. The vehicle moves away. And just like that, the moment is over. But online, It is only beginning. A photograph appears. Then another. Then another. A short clip follows. Within minutes, people begin discussing it. Within hours, the story becomes impossible to ignore. Some fans are emotional because they are happy to see the two together. Others are curious about their reason for being in Paris. Some focus on their fashion. Others focus on the restaurant. Some simply write that the sight of them together made their day. The comments become a mixture of excitement, surprise, affection, humor, and speculation. One person asks whether they were having a private vacation. Another wonders whether they were preparing for a new project. Someone else says they look completely relaxed. Another fan simply writes that seeing them together feels comforting. That emotional response demonstrates how powerful BTS's connection with fans can be. For many people, BTS represents memories. Songs listened to during difficult days. Concerts watched from home. Friendships formed through fandom. Moments of happiness shared with millions of strangers. Because of that history, seeing two members enjoying a simple evening can trigger a surprisingly strong emotional response. It is not necessarily about the restaurant. It is not necessarily about Paris. It is about familiarity. It is about seeing people who have become part of someone's life from a distance. And that is why the imagined photograph can feel bigger than it actually is. The image itself may be simple. Two men at dinner. But the meaning fans attach to it can be enormous. Some may remember old BTS content. Others may remember concerts. Some may remember funny moments between Jungkook and Taehyung. Others may simply appreciate seeing them happy. The photograph becomes a doorway into memory. Yet there is another possibility. What if the restaurant meeting was not planned at all? What if Jungkook and Taehyung happened to be in the same city and decided at the last minute to meet? That would make the story even more fascinating. Imagine Jungkook receiving a message. "Are you free tonight?" Taehyung is nearby. Paris is calling. They decide to meet. No major plan. No announcement. Just two friends deciding to have dinner. That kind of spontaneity would fit the emotional image many fans have of their friendship. But again, this is only part of the fictionalized narrative. There is no need to transform imagination into fact. The power of the story comes from the question, what if? What if they really did decide to enjoy a quiet Paris night together? What if the most important thing about the evening was simply that they were comfortable enough to spend time together away from the noise? What if the supposed mystery was never a secret at all? Sometimes a question is more powerful than an answer. That is especially true in entertainment storytelling. The viewer keeps watching because they want to know what happens next. They want another clue. Another photograph. Another reaction. Another unexpected moment. And the fictionalized Paris restaurant scene provides all of those ingredients. The first clue is the location. Paris. The second is the timing. An evening away from the usual stage environment. The third is the company. Jungkook and Taehyung together. The fourth is the camera. Someone noticed them. The fifth is the reaction. Fans around the world begin talking. And then comes the biggest question. Was there something more behind the dinner? Perhaps there was. Perhaps there was not. Without confirmation, the responsible answer is that the reason remains unknown. That uncertainty should not make the story less interesting. In fact, it makes it more intriguing. Because mystery does not always require a secret. Sometimes mystery is simply the absence of information. The world sees a photograph. The people in the photograph know the full story. Everyone else is left wondering. That dynamic has existed throughout celebrity culture for decades, but social media has accelerated it to an extraordinary level. A photograph that once might have appeared in a magazine days later can now circulate around the world almost instantly. The audience becomes part of the news cycle. Fans become commentators. Photographs become evidence. Comments become theories. And theories become headlines. This is why moments involving BTS can become so powerful online. Their audience is enormous. Their fan community is highly active. And their members have developed distinct public identities that encourage people to pay attention to every appearance. Jungkook is known for his musical talent, stage presence, and distinctive personality. Taehyung is known for his artistry, fashion, deep voice, and unique visual identity. Seeing the two together naturally attracts attention. But there is something else that makes the imagined Paris encounter particularly compelling. Neither one needs the other to create headlines. Each is already a global star. So when they appear together, the combined attention becomes enormous. It is not simply one celebrity sighting. It is two internationally recognized artists appearing in the same private setting. That is why the fictionalized scene can quickly become a global entertainment story. The restaurant itself becomes part of the mystery. Why choose such an exclusive location? Perhaps the answer is simple. Celebrities often choose places where privacy is possible. Perhaps they wanted a quiet atmosphere. Perhaps the restaurant had been recommended by a friend. Perhaps they were interested in the cuisine. Perhaps they were celebrating something. Perhaps they were simply hungry. Again, the possibilities are endless. And that is where the viewer's imagination takes over. Imagine the restaurant after they leave. The table is empty. The plates have been cleared. The lights remain dim. The staff continues working. For the restaurant employees, it may eventually become another celebrity evening among many. But for fans online, it becomes a moment they remember. A single evening in Paris. A few photographs. Two familiar faces. And an enormous wave of emotion. There is something almost poetic about that contrast. Inside the restaurant, everything is quiet. Outside, the internet is exploding. Inside, the dinner is ending. Outside, the story is beginning. Inside, Paris is simply Paris. Outside, Paris has become the setting for another chapter in the endless story of BTS and their global audience. The next morning would bring even more questions. Fans might wonder whether Jungkook and Taehyung were still in Paris. They might search for additional sightings. They might look for official schedules. They might compare the clothing seen in the photographs with previous appearances. Some might search for clues in social media posts. Others might simply wait. And waiting is often the most difficult part of fandom. Because when fans do not have answers, speculation fills the empty space. A small detail becomes a clue. A coincidence becomes a theory. A photo becomes a mystery. A dinner becomes a headline. This is where responsible storytelling becomes important. It is exciting to imagine possibilities, but imagination should remain imagination. The fictionalized scenario should not be presented as confirmed reporting. Jungkook and Taehyung deserve the same distinction that any public figure deserves: the difference between what is publicly established and what audiences imagine. That does not eliminate the fun. It simply keeps the story grounded. And perhaps the most beautiful part of the imagined encounter is that there does not need to be a dramatic revelation. Maybe the surprise is simply seeing two friends enjoying themselves. Maybe the emotional moment is realizing that global superstars still value simple companionship. Maybe the most powerful question is not, what secret were they hiding? Maybe it is, when was the last time they were allowed to simply enjoy a normal evening? That question changes the entire mood of the story. Suddenly, the paparazzi camera is no longer just a source of excitement. It becomes a reminder of how difficult privacy can be. The same photograph that makes fans smile can also remind us that fame has a price. Everywhere Jungkook and Taehyung go, there may be someone watching. Every airport arrival can become a viral clip. Every restaurant visit can become a discussion. Every fashion choice can become a headline. Every friendship can be analyzed. Every smile can be interpreted. That level of attention is difficult to imagine for someone living an ordinary life. And yet, perhaps the reason fans care so deeply is because they want to see their favorite artists happy. Not perfect. Not constantly performing. Not always smiling for cameras. Just happy. That is why the imagined restaurant scene feels warm despite the paparazzi drama. It is a picture of friendship in a city famous for romance, art, fashion, and beauty. Paris becomes the backdrop. The restaurant becomes the setting. The camera becomes the source of mystery. But the emotional center remains the relationship between two friends. As the story continues, another imagined detail begins circulating. Someone claims that Jungkook laughed loudly during dinner. Another says Taehyung appeared particularly relaxed. Someone else suggests they were talking about music. None of these details can be confirmed in the fictionalized scenario. But they demonstrate how quickly a silent photograph can inspire a complete imagined narrative. The human brain hates empty spaces. When we see a picture without sound, context, or explanation, we naturally try to fill in the missing information. What were they saying? What were they thinking? Why were they smiling? Where were they going afterward? Those questions make celebrity photographs so powerful. And with BTS, the effect becomes even stronger because fans have years of memories to draw upon. They remember old interviews. They remember backstage footage. They remember moments of laughter. They remember performances. They remember the members teasing one another. So when they see Jungkook and Taehyung together, they do not see only two people sitting at a restaurant. They see years of shared history. That is what makes the image emotional. The photograph may last 1 second. The memories behind it can last for years. Perhaps that is why the imagined Paris sighting would become one of those moments that fans keep discussing long after the night itself has ended. Not because something extraordinary happened inside the restaurant, but because the sight of them together reminds fans of everything that came before. Disclaimer: this content is created for entertainment and storytelling purposes only. The scenario involving Jungkook and Taehyung being photographed at a luxury restaurant in Paris is fictionalized and should not be interpreted as confirmed news or factual reporting. Any dialogue, reactions, events, locations, or circumstances described are part of a narrative created for entertainment. There is no intention to misrepresent, invade privacy, spread rumors, or make unverified claims about Jungkook, Taehyung, BTS, or any other individual. Viewers are encouraged to distinguish between fictional storytelling and verified information from official sources.